We are a home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. This is Joy News Prime with me, Samuel Kojo Brace. In our headlines, the religious controversy pitching 400,000 Seventh-day Adventist Church members against the Electoral Commission over the 7th of December General Elections Day. Now, the church is demanding a change in the date. They warn they cannot separate their civic responsibility to vote from the religious commitment.
So to have December 7, 2024 being a Saturday poses a big challenge to us, especially for those who do not want to go against their religious convictions and yet also want to vote for their candidate.
We tell you why this proposal has also pitched the Seventh-day Adventists against the Catholic Bishop Conference, as they say the demand is not only unnecessary, but the Adventists should find a compromise. Now, also 5 years after the murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Suali, brother of the slain journalist, accuses police of frustrating the family as it continues to change investigators placed on the case.
In time, the case is being given to a new CID. They keep changing the handlers. So any time they change a CID, the new person will want us to write a statement again.
Details as General Secretary of the United Press for Development Network calls on the Inspector General of Police to fulfill his promise of finding the killers of the slain journalist. Now, also coming up, Imani Ghana raises concerns about a potential widening of inequality gap as the debate on the adoption and use of artificial intelligence intensifies in the country.
AI, technology would not interfere with our framework of life as we have it now. We are still at the very nascent stage where we do not even know the extent to which this is going to really affect.
There's more as legal practitioner indicates Ghana currently does not have the capacity to put forward a legislation on the use and development of AI. Now, controversy is brewing at the religious front as the various faiths in the country seem divided on a proposal that will allow some over 400,000 members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church to exercise their civic responsibility on the voting day in 2024. Now, the church in separate petitions. First, the Electoral Commission says the elections would have to be moved from the conventional December 7 this year because the date falls on a Saturday, which will conflict with Sabbath, a holiday dedicated to the worship of God. The church says the first or second Tuesday in December this year will be more convenient to promote inclusive democracy. The church is taking additional steps by sending another petition to the Attorney General and pushing for an amendment of the constitutional provisions which restrict the period of organizing parliamentary and presidential elections in Ghana. My colleague Blessed Soga has the rest of the story.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. These words of the Holy Bible for any Christian must be and should be kept sacred. But for the Seventh-day Adventist Church Ghana, their faith is about being tested like never before. Similar to 1996, the presidential and parliamentary elections this year falls on Saturday, December 7. According to the teachings of the church, it will be Sabbath, a day fully dedicated to the worship of God. At the Southern Ghana Union Conference here in Accra, I met Dr. Solis Asafo, Director of Public Affairs and Religious Liberty. She explains to me how the democratic gains of the country will be derailed if provisions are not made to cater for members of this church.
Voting is a civic responsibility. Honoring the Sabbath is a godly responsibility. That's how we see it. As enshrined in the Ten Commandments, he says you have 6 days to do all your work, but you have to rest on the Sabbath day. And you know, sometimes people don't understand, but in that commandment, it says that the Sabbath day is the Sabbath of thy Lord. If it were mine, I would decide on what to do with it. But it's God's, and he says on this day, don't do this or do this. So that's where the conflict comes up. And that's why we think that if there's anything that can be done to change the date, it will help our members.
And now we know that you've sent your petition to the Electoral Commission detailing your concerns and what it is, the challenges you have about December 7th and the need to either move the date to November or try and get a date that will not be a Saturday. Have you taken any other step to raise your concerns to the state and to put across your demands?
In June 2021, we actually had an appearance with the President of the Republic and placed before him our concerns. We followed that up subsequently by writing to the Electoral Commission in February last year, indicating or making a proposal for a change. What we were proposing was not for a date change, but we were proposing a day. So we proposed in our submission to the EC the first Tuesday or a Tuesday in November or December.
Director of Communications of the Ghana Catholic Bishops Conference, Reverend Father Diodon Kofi Davo, says the Adventist Church should strike a compromise on the matter since elections are conducted only once during a 4-year period.
First of all, I appreciate where our brethren, the Adventists, are coming from because it has to do with faith. But this is a constitutional date also. And there have been occasions that we had to vote on other days, including Fridays and Sundays. So since this is something that takes place once in 4 years, we should make room. We should be ready to compromise where it matters most and be tolerant about it. Yes, the process of making a date that doesn't fall on any day that religious people meet is something that people can consider. But as it stands now, I think we just have to be tolerant about some of this and make provision, because we are not going to spend the whole day voting, and we don't also spend the whole day in church or in the mosque.
A cultural anthropologist and also with the Reformed Africanian Mission, Kofi Ahaji, insists it's unnecessary for the state to assess such considerations.
Now, if it would disturb them, are they saying that if they are given holidays on any other day, that is good? It doesn't affect anybody's belief system. The whole concept of this colonized mentality, we should not bother ourselves so much. If we are to go by our customs and traditions, then we should just let them forget whatever they think is on the Saturday. Okay, what comes of the other so-called religious group? We should just not bother ourselves with this. Seriously, I don't see any reason why we should either vote or not vote on a particular day. We vote for people and we don't see what they do for us. So if somebody says that day he is going to worship, is it compulsory? Don't you see that the people go to churches on almost every day of the week? So will they also now argue that because they worship on a particular day, we should not hold whatever must be done? I don't think they have any case.
Meanwhile, the Electoral Commission says it has taken receipt of this petition, but cannot make a statement on it because no decision has been taken on that petition. Lead data analyst here, join us, Isaac Kofi joins me in studio with some more on this. Kofi, first off, let's start with the membership of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Well, so Kojo, we actually are able to get certified statistics from SDA's archives, statistics and research department. And according to them, they put their total membership in Ghana around 400,000. And this is the reason why the church is calling for that, decision to be made, because they believe they want majority of their church members to vote on that 7th or the election day. And so if you put the election on 7th January, which is a Sabbath day, you put the church members as a very difficult position as to whether to decide between whether to go to church or to go and cast their vote. And you know how the Sabbath is observed. is from sundown to sundown. So you can't really strike a compromise as people are actually projecting. But if you look at this figure, for instance, and you take a look at the northern side, you know the Adventist Church in Ghana have about 2 divisions. So we have the northern sector and the southern sector. So what you have on the screen right now is what they call the Southern Ghana Union Conference. And in the Southern Ghana Union Conference, Kojo, you have about 7 regions, including the Greater Accra region, Central, Eastern, the Volta regions, and the Western region. The Seventh-day Adventist Church have about 1,555 churches in the 7 regions in the southern part of the country that we're talking about. The total population here is more than 188,000. Now, let's look at the northern sector of the church. So let's look at the northern, Ghana Union Conference, where there are about 9 regions here. The northern region is the Ashanti region, and this is where majority of the church members are because of the Ashanti region, which is the heartbeat of the church. You have about 1,063 churches here and over 200,000 members. So combined, the Adventist Church is actually commanding about close to 400,000 population in Ghana. And they believe that it's not just about their members, but their institutions, educational institutions. They have, secondary schools and then also basic schools scattered across the country, that during elections, these are places that are earmarked for polling stations, and they believe there are about 20,000 scattered across the country. And if it's a Sabbath day, it will be difficult for the country to access these facilities using them as polling stations. So that is the reason why they are calling for this, to give their members, a chance to vote on the election day, and then also for them to be able to give their facilities out as polling stations.
But has the church raised this issue in any country outside Ghana, and where these demands met?
Well, not particularly, but we know that in Nigeria, for instance, when they are about to have their general election, they take some of these things into consideration. And just like you heard from Solis, it happened before, but the church did not really make a big fuss out of it. But they don't want this to progress. That is why they want a solution to this, a long-term solution to this. They don't want to be coming back to it because their membership is growing year after year in Ghana, and they want their members to perform their civic responsibilities like elections. That is why they want this change to be done. They are also very patriotic. They want to give out their institutions out during elections. So if you want it, then on the Sabbath day, it's kind of difficult for them because, you know how the Adventist setting is. So if you want it, then they can't really strike a compromise at the moment. But just like Sole said, it's an individual affair, but the church is pushing for this agenda. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's Kofi Ejede. Now let's further broaden this conversation and bring in other religious perspectives. Shams Shaibu Mohammed is Chairman, Media and Research Committee of the Coalition of Muslim Organizations in Ghana, COMOG, and he joins us via Zoom now. Grateful for joining us. Now, what do you make of this, relief sought by the SDA Church to change the conventional date for the general elections this year?
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I would like to use this opportunity again to say good evening to all listeners and viewers. I think constitutionally, each and every individual, especially when the request is under the name a religious group, I think constitutionally they have a right. But as to whether the right comes in conflict with the right of others, as far as their for the change of date of the elections in Ghana is concerned. So I think, in my view, as a religious person, as a Muslim, I think they have rights, so long as the Constitution on Article 21 gives them that particular right to demand for the expansion of the freedom of the expression of their religion. If at the end of the day it comes into some conflict by an establishment controlled by the Constitution of Ghana, then it becomes very important for us to make assessment of the importance of the church. How am I saying? Because it is also important for us to also recognize that we have other religious organizations in Ghana whose rights and the rights of institutions in this country are being trampled. For instance, until recently, when a bill went past for the expansion of holidays for Muslims, you will find in certain occasions that Muslims, for example, will have to write examinations on Salah Day, on Eid or Eid al-Adha. And these timetables were drafted long before, at the time that the timetable conscious of days of the celebration of Eid al-Adha. That's to say that the importance of the religion has been relegated to the back by those who are in charge of our educational institutions. I think it is important. It also gives us courage to go ahead and support this in Parliament. Because, yes, previously, we are mandated or we are given the right per the constitutional provision of Article 1 to also practice our religion and also manifest our religion in a manner that is mandated by the general messages of the Quran.
So you disagree with their proposal?
Pardon?
Do you disagree with their proposal?
I wouldn't disagree with the proposal, the religious person itself, but it comes into some kind of, and that actually will be detrimental to the interest of the nation at large. Then we have to look at it, make an assessment of the process so that we make a choice that is the better interest of the people of.
All right, grateful for joining us here. Now, Janet Asanan Nabla is General Secretary for the PNC. Let's listen to what the political party also says. So she's joining us via Zoom. Now, grateful for joining us. Now, how involved were political parties, including yourself, in the drafting of this petition? And what do you make of it now?
Please, let me greet you and your viewers this evening. It's true that the SDA people, they came to our party to have a meeting with us concerning the election date. So they wanted us to give them our approval that we will help them to be able to get the date that they wanted. So we told them that we are also a religious group. We are Christians, and things that will be able to help their religion to, if that is what they want. And then when we look at the date that they were asking for, we thought maybe it would be good for the entire country, not only SDA. So we accepted. We accepted it, and we told them that they have our blessings if only it will be accepted by the entire country. But when it comes to the PNC, we told them that they have our support, because they said the Saturday that is December 7th would fall on a Saturday. December 7th would fall on a Saturday. So they were pleading that maybe they can shift the date forward so that we can say maybe every Tuesday, maybe every December Tuesday or November Tuesday, we'll hold the elections. They said that one will help them. So when they came, we had a very nice conversation, and we approved.
Okay.
For us, we approved what they wanted. But this one is not for the PNC, but for the entire country.
Okay. All right. Grateful for joining us here. Now, moving on to other stories, as part of effort to eradicate malaria in Ghana, government has launched a national malaria elimination strategic plan. The plan, among other things, aims at reducing malaria mortality by 90% by 2028 and reduce malaria incidence by 50%. Launching the strategic plan, Minister for Health, Kweku Agyeman-Manu, expressed his optimism that Ghana has the capacity to eradicate the disease, considering the success of the National Malaria Control Program. My colleague Kwesi Adai-Kwating has the details in this report.
The National Malaria Elimination Plan is an ambitious strategic plan aimed at achieving zero malaria in Ghana by 2028. The strategy is inspired by the success stories of other African countries like Algeria and Cape Verde in eliminating malaria. Minister for Health, Kweku Agyeman-Manu, says the new eradication strategy will replace the current National Malaria Control Program.
Malaria has remained a priority disease under the government's policies and initiatives, and has traveled several progressive milestones to ensure high coverage of evidence-based interventions to combat malaria through the National Malaria Control Program and now the National Malaria Elimination Program.
Program Manager for the National Malaria Elimination Program, Dr. Kezia Mam, revealed the specific targets the strategy seeks to achieve.
The first goal is to reduce malaria mortality by 90% by 2028. And this goal is to take us to near zero by 2028. So I'm hopeful that by 2028, whoever will be looking at the strategic plan at that time will now be saying that nobody is dying from malaria. We also want to work to make sure that by 2028, the numbers that we are seeing in our health facilities are reduced by 50%.
On his part, Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaje, stressed that the negative socio-economic impact of malaria makes it imperative for the country to eradicate the disease.
That the socio-economic impact of malaria has been said already is significant. The disease imposes a heavy economic burden on households, the health system, and the national economy. Malaria-related illnesses and deaths lead to lost productivity, absenteeism from work and school, increased healthcare costs, as well as personal costs. This can result in reduced economic growth and development.
Representing President Akufo-Addo, Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Anthony Nsiansari, also mentioned government is ready to ensure the full implementation of the new plan.
I take this opportunity, therefore, to assure you of government's commitment in providing the political will and the resources to support the deployment and implementation of the various strategies and elimination activities.
Eradicating malaria has been a long-term vision of Ghana following its commitment to the Abuja Declaration on rolling back malaria in 2000 and the Millennium Development Goals. The plan, when successfully implemented, will ensure that Ghana becomes malaria-free.
Now, some first-year students of the University of Ghana are stranded as they have been turned away by the various school halls for accommodation after being told the halls are full. Most of the students have been left to their fate to search for accommodation, with some of those that came from far forced to pitch with relatives and friends for the time being. My colleague Kenneth Jesse has been engaging some of the students and has more in this report.
New academic year, more accommodation troubles for some students of the University of Ghana. They have been denied entry into the school halls, which is the cheapest source of accommodation on campus. They've been told to look elsewhere. The news team spoke with some of them who have come from far and wide. Listen to them. Where are you coming from?
Northern region, Tamale.
Northern region.
Yes, please.
And you came here and still haven't gotten accommodation on campus?
Yes, please. Yeah.
So how are you coping? Where do you stay now?
I'm with my uncle at Medina. So yeah, I come from there every time.
How is this affecting you?
It's stressful, yes, because we charge a lot with the taxi drivers. It's so stressful, yeah.
Takrade.
You obviously wanted to be on the school or in one of the school halls,
yes,
and you didn't get. What were you told?
For me, it's actually my fault. I didn't pay my fees on time, so I didn't get a place in the school.
They said it's full. It's limited. It's randomly picked, so when you didn't apply fast, it's now full, so couldn't get some.
And so how is that affecting you?
I have to leave the house always, like wake up very early so that I'll not miss classes.
Okay, so that means you're coming from Medina every day?
Yes, please.
Those that managed to get accommodation at the school hall say it is very expensive due to a recent increment.
I used to know that it was $750 per semester, but now when we got the hall, they were like 1,000 cedi per semester. Then you pay some other levies and stuffs. So actually it has gone high, or the prices.
The chair of the heads of halls at the University of Ghana, Dr. Margaret Amankwa-Poku, however, says accommodation for first-year students on campus is not guaranteed, and defended the school's policy to increase fees for residential halls by some 33%, saying the cost of living in Ghana has triggered that increment.
So, initially the students were paying a little over 800 cedis a year. And then about a year and a half ago, we increased it to 1,500 cedis per year. So it came up to 750 cedis per year. And so it's been a year and a half now, but you know how cost of living has increased, price of goods and services have increased. And yesterday I was mentioning that janitorial services, for example, we were paying a little over 13,000 a month for Volta Hall, but now we are paying 28,000 a month. So it's more than doubled. And fixing damages and faults that are reported by students, etc. And that is why we wrote to the POVC to permit us to increase the residential facility user fees.
The issue of accommodation challenges on the various university campuses is not new. Each year they come up, each year it dies slowly. From the campus of the University of Ghana, Kenneth Jesse for Joy News.
And here in studio, I am Samuel Kojo Brace. This is the Joy News Prime. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more. To stay. Welcome back from the break. Now, family of slain journalist Ahmed Hussein Suali is accusing the police of frustrating the family over investigations into the murder of the investigative journalist. Ahmed Suali was shot by unknown gunmen near his home in Medina 5 years ago, few months after the premiering of the number 12 investigative piece produced by the Tiger Eye PI group. Despite government assurances to bring the perpetrators of the crime to justice, the police are yet to make any arrest. 5 years on, the family is accusing the police of frustrating them with the investigation process. We'll hear from them shortly, but first, listen to General Secretary of the United Press for Development Network, Gifty Boafo, who wants the IGP, Dr. George Dampare, to fulfill his promise to find the killers of Ahmed Suali.
We sent a petition to the IGP, and he said he would make a follow-up, even if not on his reign that those people will be brought to book. Whoever comes after him will know that he started something. So to our best of knowledge, IGP is in the known. When you call the police or anyone that is to work on it, they will tell you investigation is ongoing, investigation is still on. And as we speak today, nothing has been said or done about it.
When did you send this petition?
I think when he was appointed as IGP, a few months after he was appointed, we went to his office, my president and I, and then the national organizer, we went to his office to meet him one-on-one, and we sent our petition.
Until now, you haven't had any feedback from him?
No, nothing has been done about it. The response he sent to us was, he will work on it and then let us have the feedback. We will still follow up because apart from the IGP being the highest rank of the police service, we can't go anywhere further. But then we will still make a follow-up as UPDN. Because once it hits a journalist, it hits all of us. We can't leave one person out and say it is not our member or anyone that works for us. But once the person is a journalist, it hits all of us. So we will still make follow-ups till we get the needed results.
Brother of Ahmed Suali, Ibrahim Kamilu Tahidu, says the process is yet to make any progress with the investigation. It keeps changing lead investigators placed on the case. That's the complaint that they have with this particular process. Let's listen to what he had to say.
At any point in time, the case is being given to a new CID. They keep changing the handlers. So anytime they change a CID, the new person will want us to write a statement again, which I had a disagreement with that. Once you have the record, what everybody has said already is there. So me as a brother, if maybe perhaps every 6 months, if you have to call me and tell me there's a new department or new CID handling it, I should put down a statement again. Don't you think I may do some mistake? I may forget about some things I said 5 years ago and tell you different things today when you already have the records. So that is the bit we had disagreement. And also, as our usual, disagreement on their mode of investigation. Because all the time we are on it, and you keep inviting, if it's not me, the family members, the wives. We are the people who seem to always be invited by the police, though I don't know what they are doing apart from that, but they keep inviting the family.
Does that mean the issue is yet to be put before court?
Sure. As a family, we have always told the police whenever they need us, we are available to support. And the way they are handling it, we have also vomited our displeasure to them that we are not happy with certain things, the way they are going about it. Like I always say, the CID who started it was very, very good. All of a sudden, he was being changed without informing the family. At a point in time, his number was no longer going. When I go there, he was not in. Until he himself called outside the country that he has been posted somewhere. And since then, all the CIDs, they have been changing, you know how they do things in Ghana here.
Now, policy think tank Imani Ghana is proposing a standard of ethics that will benefit humanity in the wake of the gradual acceptance of artificial intelligence in all aspects of life. Although Imani Ghana contends that Ghana is still at the early stage of adopting AI, it has indicated the need for a framework to benefit the people while defining the direction to adopt. Vice President of Imani Ghana, Selom Brantier, who was speaking on the Super Morning Show, said failure to do so will widen the inequality gap.
I believe that we are at that point where some standards of ethics would ensure that there would be the mainstream AI that would benefit humanity, and work will be done to create that preventative systems or platforms that will ensure that errant AI, technology, would not interfere with our framework of life as we have it now. And those are discussions that are going on. But you see, we are still at the very nascent stage where we do not even know the extent to which this is going to really affect us. For some of us, that is the benefit is that we can sit back in the developing world, watch how some of these things pan out so that we can then tune whatever is there to benefit us as a people. But you see, we should begin to look inside ourselves, as a country, as a people, as a nation, and define what we want to do. If we are a country that is benefiting from extractive resources, how are we going to work towards building our AI to ensure that our extractive resources are safeguarded to ensure economic growth? Because one of the things that AI is going to do is that it's going to, there's a possibility that it's going to enhance economic inequality, where those with access to AI tools are going to benefit way better than those without them, which means that in certain professions, if you use or deploy AI tools, your competitive advantage would be such that you would be reaping far more benefits economically than others. So then it means that there will be that inequality gap that will begin to exist. And that will start existing because this world is a globally competitive one. And if we sit down and then we look into the skies, we are going to have a lot of foreign companies who are deploying these AI solutions beat us, the local ones, even to things that we want to do locally. So then we have to look into ourselves and ask ourselves, how do we use any system or any technology that has been deployed to benefit us as a people in a way that we can now replicate such things across the world and be also innovators, pioneers and things, and then rather be a net exporter of the technology and the innovation.
However, private legal practitioner Christopher Nunepeko asserts that Ghana currently lacks the capacity to introduce legislation governing the use and development of AI.
I think the first step is building understanding of how these technologies work. Because currently there's a lot of misinformation and misconception about how AI works. So, for instance, AI is not a product. AI is a technology that is being used to develop and influence how services and products are developed across various sectors. So, first thing we must do as a country is to understand the full extent and scope of how these technologies are influencing things we are concerned about. Because it is from that standpoint that we'll be able to properly put in policies and programs that harnesses the full benefits of these technologies. Because without understanding, trust me, we'll put in legislation, we'll put in policies that do not address the real uses and concerns for these technologies that are emerging. And I'm not sure we've seen the end of it, but we have the potential, but currently we do not have the capacity to be able to do anything as far as legislating the development and use of these technologies are concerned.
Away from that, Minister for Communications and Digitalization, Esla Owusu-Ekufo, has tasked the National Communications Authority to lead a collaborative stakeholder consultation with the Ghana Journalists Association, Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association, and other media stakeholders towards ensuring accurate, free and fair reportage during this year's general elections. Now, she was speaking at the launch of the NCA's 5-year strategic plan, which seeks to promote accelerated digital transformation and industry growth.
The latest generation of wireless technology that provides faster internet speed, 5G, and satellite internet services have been adopted in many parts of the world. And in Africa, although these technologies are not yet operational in Ghana. Speaking at the launch of the 5-year strategic plan of the National Communications Authority, the Deputy Director General Technical Operations at the NCA, Professor Isa Osei-Eboaboatin, revealed that the authority intends to create a licensure framework to regulate 5G services and satellite internet services.
Some strategic actions we intend to embark on include developing licensing framework for 5G spectrum to promote competitive offering of 5G services. We also intend to establish a framework for space services, such as those in geostationary satellite orbit and non-geostationary satellite orbits to facilitate their effective and facilitate utilization in underserved areas of our country.
On her part, Minister of Communication and Digitalization Estela Owusu charged the NCA to fast-track adoption of innovative technologies on the market to create room for global competition.
That they have had a strategic plan to guide their operations for the next 5 years. And it is absolutely critical because of the rapidly changing and evolving nature of this sector to have a flexible strategic plan which provides the broad outlines of where the objectives and aims that they want to achieve, but provides for a collaborative, consultative approach to doing their work. They're regulating the sector for the industries and the companies that work in there for the benefit of all of us consumers.
Now, former President John Dramani Mahama is demanding what he terms as honeymoon from Ghanaians, especially trade and labor groups, if successful in taking over power. According to him, if voted into power, the NDC will inherit a broken economy, which they will need time to restore. Speaking at a Campus Connect event as part of the Building Ghana tour, the NDC flag bearer said a national forum will be held to solicit ideas in restoring the economy. Nana Ajima toured the Volta region with the former president and has more in the following report.
The flag bearer of the NDC has repeatedly emphasized on the country's indebtedness due to mismanagement of the economy. According to him, mismanagement of the economy by the present government has resulted in the slow pace of development. This is how John Mahama described the economy.
The MPP has brought Ghana's economy to the lowest ebb that has ever been seen in our history. We are broke. We are indebted. There's hardship in the land. There's no money in the system. People do not have disposable incomes. Pensioners' monies have been taken. Bondholders' monies have been taken. And so it's created a very critical situation for us.
Repeatedly, Mr. Mahama, who is taking opinions of the electorate to feed into the NDC's manifesto for the upcoming elections, has pleaded for a grace period if the NDC returns to power. He explains the need.
And I'll plead with the teachers' unions, NAT and NAGRAT and UTAG and TEWU and all of them. I know all of you are clamoring for allowances, increase in your allowances and so on and so forth. Let me caution you that in 2025, inshallah, after we take over, we will show you the books and the finances of this country. And you realize the harm that the MPP administration has done to Ghana's economy. This country is broke. And so we would beg you that when we come into office, give us a bit of a honeymoon. Let's put things in place so that we can bring the economy back on its feet. And when we have done that, we can accede to your demands again. And that's why I'm being very measured in the promises that I make, because we all know the crisis in which this country has been plunged.
Meanwhile, Mr. Mahama has assured of his preparedness to lead efforts to restore the economy. He reveals the electorate in areas visited continue to clamor for the return of the NDC.
And I know that as soon as we come, one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to hold a national conference, a national economic dialogue. And we're going to bring all stakeholders together. We'll open the books for you to see the mess that the NPP has left for all of us and what we have to do to be able to bring it back.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
This is still Joy News Prime. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with Showbiz. Right, so time for us to bring you Showbiz, and Jackie is here. Hi.
Hi, Kojo.
What do we have on the table?
Well, last night was the 75th Emmy Awards, and South African comedian Trevor Noah and the team for The Daily Show with Trevor Noah received the award for Outstanding Variety Talk Series during the 75th Emmy Awards yesterday. Now, with the win, Noah makes history as the first African and first Black person to win the Emmy for Outstanding Talk Series since the category's introduction in 2015. Well, still on the international front, now 4 months ago, we reported on the unexpected passing of the Nigerian musician Mohbad and his controversies that ensued regarding his demise. Now, the management of the late singer has now disclosed that Mohbad did not leave a will behind, contrary to statements made by Mohbad's father. Well, we'll still keep you updated on that story. Now, Kojo, playlist update. Yesterday, we brought you a new playlist update, which is a Dinah Hamilton featuring Mercy Chinwo. Now, today, a new one. Now, over the weekend, following trends on X, there was this new artist, Safu Newman. Apparently, he has been in the industry for a very long time and has been struggling. Then he posted a video of himself, which Sarkodie actually endorsed. Then he said that this is raw talent, and he gave a green light, solidifying his status as a rising star with high aspirations for the music business. Now, his song, which is the recent track, Akokwa, is currently at number 5 on Apple Music. Safu Newman, the newbie in town.
Yeah, that's how grace works. When you don't know what's going to happen, but something, boom, takes you up higher. Well, so that's it for Joy News Prime. There's more on myjoyonline.com. Up next is Emma Davis with Prime Business. Good evening.